welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Trinity Continuum Steam Wars. We, as of time of recording, are less than $300 away from our Kaiju sourcebook, which is something we are hugely anticipating over on the Steam Wars team. This is a sourcebook that will allow you to pit your Steam rigs against these gargantuan monsters from the depths. It will twist the Trinity Continuum even further, and the world of Steam Wars, which is currently, of course, plunged in this World War, the Second Steam War, and now these monstrosities, these kaiju, will be entering the fray. So if you are interested in that, if you want to play rigs versus monsters, mechs versus Goliaths, this is the time to do it. So get on board with the crowdfunder. I have linked it below. This is a fantastic game and you will not regret it. What I wanted to talk about in this video is Steam Dice. Now, Steam Dice is a mechanic that is unique to Trinity Continuum Steam Wars. I say unique, it is the first of its kind in a Trinity Continuum game, though if you're familiar with Curseborn, you may be familiar with the principle behind Steam Dice. Whenever your characters are operating a Steam rig, and I'll break this down a little, each character will have a different position in the rig. So you might be in the head cab, you might be in the arms, you might be in the legs, you might be stoking the engine. Each of you has a role to play. And depending on the size of the party, you can have up to that number of Steam Dice in your pool. And Steam Dice will grow and they will decrease during the course of the game. Now, what are Steam Dice? Well, Steam Dice replace your dice. And they can make your successes infinitely more dramatic, what are considered rousing successes, or they can make your success a pernicious failure, if indeed you fail and fail badly. So, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say, for example, that you are a gunner on board a steam rig. And you're there, Gatling gun, ba 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 ba, or rather it's a Gatling gun, ba 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 ba, and shooting relentlessly at the enemy because you've been through the initiative process, your rig has acted first, each member of the crew in your particular team has behaved as intended, and now it's your turn and you are letting loose. You're positioned just right to fire upon the enemy. Now, let's say, for example, that at this time there are 3 Steam Dice. Steam Dice replace some of your dice. As a gunner, you may be using, let's say, ranged combat. Let's say ranged combat and might. Usually people pair ranged combat and dexterity. I'm going to say ranged combat and might to stop this Gatling gun from bouncing up and down. It's less about accuracy in the sense of sharpshooting and more about just holding it steady and being able to keep turning that crank relentlessly. So, what we're doing is ranged combat plus might. We've got 3 Steam Dice. And we decide that we're going to allocate those 3 Steam Dice to you, the gunner. Let's say that you have 4 dots in ranged combat and 3 dots in might. So that would usually be 7 dice that you'd be rolling. You're looking for 8s, 9s, and 10s for your hits. 10s, of course, count as 2 hits. Well, 7 of those dice are in your hand. You can take 3 of them out and replace them with 3 Steam Dice. So you've got 7 dice in total. 3 of them are Steam Dice. You make your roll. So here's where the outcome is very important. Ordinarily, let's say you had no Steam Dice in this roll. Well, you'd just be rolling to see whether you hit. But with Steam Dice, as I say, the outcome can be significantly better or worse. If, for example, you, let's say, roll a 1, a 3, a 5, 3 8s, and a 9. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 8, 8, 8, 9. Well, that's 4 hits, so that's pretty good already. Now, let's say some of those hits were on your Steam Dice. Now, it didn't have to go that way. Your Steam Dice could have been the 1, the 3, the 5, and that means this is just a regular hit. It's still a good success, don't get me wrong, 4 hits is nothing to be sniffed at, but let's say that 3 of those dice, or even 2 of those dice that came up as 8s, or the 9, were Steam Dice. That transforms your success into a rousing success. And this is the power of the steam. This is the power of your condensed coal, the fuel that is enabling you to fight in these wars, to command these steam rigs, to fire these cannons. The steam dice is the volatility of such an element, because it can lead to dramatic success and dramatic failure. In this case, our rousing success allows you to buy certain steam dice tricks. You can also come up with a special outcome. For example, the whole rig may gain temporary advantage granted to one of its qualities, such as its durability or speed. You can translate your rousing success into that. You can make an enemy or rival take note of your skills on the battlefield and grow intimidated. You might have a surge of steam power that makes running your station easier. Your higher-ups might notice your actions and commend you for your quick thinking. Maybe there's a medal in it for you. These are all the possible benefits of a rousing success. And what's more, with those hits, we got 4 hits there, 3 8s and a 9. You can use them to do things like bypass power. That costs 1 hit. Reduce the difficulty of an action out at your station by 1. Danger sense. Increase the rig's defense by 1 for 1 round. Very useful if the enemy hasn't acted yet. Demolish, 1 to 2 hits. Inflict 2 damage per hit against an object at short range. So in other words, you can basically destroy cover. Metal shear, that costs 3 hits. The raw power behind your rig's swing, if this is an arm, a boom that's being swung in battle, cuts a gash into the opponent's chassis, severing a critical component and either reducing its speed advantage by 1 or inflicting the faulty valve status effect. There are lots of these possible tricks that are all stored in the Machines of War chapter. So those 4 hits are remarkable on their own. Not only have you been able to buy, let's say you went for danger sense, you increase your defense by 1, and you're going to use those other 3 hits to demolish cover with 2 hits, 1 more bypass power, reduced difficulty for your next action. I think that's fair. Hell, you could use powerful shove, push a rig away from you if you're locked in close combat, and rigs do sometimes duke it out with fists. But there is a flip side to steam dice, of course. Steam dice are volatility. They can make things go dramatically well and dramatically poorly. We go back to our dice pool. Let's say in this case we had our dice pool of 7. We had 3 steam dice within that pool. And let's say by some dark miracle we are only able to roll a 1, a 1, a 1, a 2, a 4, a 5, and maybe a 7 just to tease us for not getting an 8. Well, that's all failures. Now, if we failed, but at least a steam die had scored a hit, well, this wouldn't be a pernicious failure. In this case, everything failed, including the steam dice, and that means something very bad happens. For instance, a piston might get stuck, reducing your speed advantage by 1, or another quality by 1. An enemy or rival might notice your weakness and exploit it. An overload of steam makes control at your stations too hot to touch, so you can no longer operate your normal controls without repairing it first. Or, to counterpoint those medals earlier, maybe your higher-ups get word of your failure at your station and reprimand you for your shortcomings. Maybe a demotion is in order. Hell, possibly even a court-martial. Steam dice in Trinity Continuum Steam Wars are a way of making sure that combat action in your rigs is more than just exchanging blows. It is also the whole condensed coal element of the game. Every combatant, every army is fighting over this rare mineral. And when you use it, it has these side effects. It can make your victories astounding. It can make your failures crushing. And I find them a lot of fun. I've been running Steam Wars recently, and I think the inclusion of Steam Dice, of course, and the pool goes up and the pool can go down. You can vent Steam Dice during the course of play. You can also build up steam as well, but that might be a subject for another video. The use of steam dice can really turn combat on a head, but what's more, it can make your characters really stand out, and the party can choose where they allot those steam dice during the course of play. So I hope that has enticed you a little. It's a funky little mechanic that goes within Trinity Continuum Steam Wars, and basically makes the rig battle element a slightly different system within a system, but really easy to pick up. All those tricks you can use, for instance, are just listed right there on one page. So I'd love for you to give it a go yourself and let me know. What's more, I would love it if you let me know below what kind of subsystems in RPGs are you really fond of? Because I'm really fond of Steam Dice, I'm really fond of Curse Dice and Curseborn. They fulfill a similar narrative function. I want to hear what you like in terms of mechanical subsystems. And I would also love, and this is my big ask now, for you to comment below and say if you've backed Trinity Continuum Steam Wars, and most importantly, if you haven't, is there anything that is holding you back that I might be able to persuade you of? Maybe you're not sure about the system. Maybe you're not sure about the setting. Maybe there's something about the rules. Maybe it's something I can make a video on. Let me know below. I would love it if this entices you to back, because as I say, we're very close to those kaiju now. And thank you very, very much for watching.